Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. This is another amazing story sent us on Patreon by Jack, who says like this: "Hey Alex, the invisible shield. It's a lesson of history that a lot of Filipinos must know. It's how 286 Filipinos guerrillas made America Great Rescue possible. It happened in one night, as I see here in the message. So it's going to be an amazing story again. I have a lot of history about the Philippines. I'm going to leave at the end of the video my favorite video about it. I'm not going to reveal anything. Anyways, it's going to be mind-blowing. So make sure to stick until the end. And if you like what you're seeing, of course, like the video, subscribe, share it for more people to know about the courage from the Philippines. Let's go and watch this, and then we're going to talk more. The invisible shield.
The Americans called it the greatest rescue mission in their military history.
Wow.
500 prisoners of war, men who had survived the Bataan Death March, 3 years of starvation, disease, and torture in the most brutal prison camps the Japanese Imperial Army ever ran. Men who were scheduled to be executed, saved in a single night by the elite 6th Ranger Battalion in a surgical strike so precise it became the template for every special operations rescue that followed. Hollywood made a film about it. The U.S. Army wrote it into their manuals. The Rangers became legends. But there is a number that does not appear in the American version of this story.
Why?
286. That is the number of Filipino guerrillas who stood between the U.S. Rangers and total annihilation while the rescue was happening. 286 men armed with borrowed rifles and a handful of bazookas, holding a wooden bridge against over 1,000 elite Imperial Japanese soldiers supported by tanks and
1,000?
artillery, for 2 straight hours in the pitch-black Philippine jungle. The Japanese lost hundreds. The Filipinos lost nobody.
Beautiful.
Not one man. And the world never heard their name. January 1945. The Pacific War is turning. MacArthur has returned to the Philippines as he promised, and the Japanese Imperial Army is retreating. But retreating armies are not defeated armies. They are angry, cornered, and dangerous. Inside the Cabanatuan prisoner of war camp in Nueva Ecija, 500 Allied prisoners are running out of time. These are the ghosts of Bataan, men who survived the death march of 1942, who have spent 3 years being starved, beaten, and worked to the edge of death. They are skeletal. Many cannot walk. The Japanese call the ward where the worst cases are kept the Zero Ward. It is where men go to wait for death. American intelligence has intercepted a Japanese order. As Imperial forces retreat across the Pacific, the policy is explicit. No prisoners are to fall into Allied hands alive. Every POW in every camp is to be executed before the Americans arrive. The U.S. military has a narrow window. Get to Cabanatuan now, or 500 men die. They send the 6th Ranger Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Henry Mucci commanding, Captain Robert Prince planning the assault. Elite soldiers, West Point graduates, the best trained raiding force the U.S. Army can field in the Pacific Theater. What American intelligence does not know, what they have completely missed, is that right down the road from the prison camp, resting near a bridge over the Cabu River, is a major element of the Japanese Imperial Army. Over 1,000 battle-hardened soldiers, the rear guard of the Tiger Division. Tanks, heavy mortars, artillery. Men who would rather charge into their own deaths than yield a yard of ground. If the Rangers fire a single shot inside Cabanatuan camp, that Japanese force will hear it. They will cross the Cabu River bridge in minutes, flank the lightly armed Ranger Battalion, and kill every American and every prisoner on the field. The greatest rescue in American military history is about to become its greatest disaster. Colonel Mucci needs something he doesn't have. Eyes on the ground, intelligence the Americans cannot gather, and a force capable of holding a bridge against 1,000 men while a rescue happens a mile away. He needs Captain Juan Pajota. Juan Pajota was not a career soldier in the Western military sense. He was a Filipino, born of this land, shaped by its mountains and rice paddies, and the particular stubbornness of people who have watched invaders come and decided they will not be moved. When the Japanese invaded in December 1941 and the American and Filipino forces retreated to Bataan, Pajota made a choice that would define the rest of his life. He did not surrender. He vanished into the jungle and began building a guerrilla network in Nueva Ecija, the province he knew the way he knew his own hands. By 1945, Captain Pajota commanded a unit of the USSFE guerrillas, the United States Army Forces in the Far East, and what he commanded was not a conventional fighting force. It was something more dangerous. His men were farmers, students, local tradesmen, fathers, men who had watched the Japanese occupy their towns, burn their villages, take their people, and had spent 3 years making them pay for it in the dark. They did not fight in open fields. They fought as ghosts. They moved through terrain the Japanese could never fully map because it was home. They ambushed patrols, stripped them of weapons, and melted back into the canopy before the enemy could respond. And they built an intelligence network so precise, so deeply embedded in the fabric of local life, that nothing moved in Nueva Ecija without Pajota knowing about it. That network was about to save the entire American operation before it began. When Colonel Mucci arrived at the jungle staging area on January 29, 1945, he was ready to attack that night. The Rangers were primed, the intelligence looked sufficient, and every hour of delay was another hour the prisoners were in danger. Pajota looked at the American plan and stopped the entire operation. His scouts, invisible, moving through the jungle and the roadside villages completely undetected, had seen something American intelligence had completely missed. A massive Japanese division was currently moving past the Cabanatuan camp on the main highway. If the Rangers attacked on the 29th, they would emerge from the jungle directly into the path of thousands of retreating Japanese troops. Mucci was a West Point graduate, a decorated officer, a man accustomed to giving orders, not receiving them from a local guerrilla commander. But he was also a brilliant enough soldier to know when the man in front of him knew something he didn't. He trusted Pajota. Mucci delayed the entire operation by 24 hours. That decision, made on the word of a Filipino farmer soldier who had spent 3 years earning the right to be believed, saved the mission before it began. By January 30, the bulk of the Japanese force had moved past, but their rear guard, over 1,000 men with tanks and artillery, had stopped to rest near the Cabu River, right next to the bridge. Now the geometry of the raid is set. The U.S. Rangers will cross the open field to the prison camp, a half-mile of completely exposed ground with no cover. Filipino guerrillas under a second commander, Lieutenant Colonel Eduardo Hosen, will guard the western approach, and Captain Juan Pajota and his 286 men will do the thing that makes everything else possible. They will hold the Cabu River Bridge. They will stand between over 1,000 Japanese soldiers with tanks and the retreating Americans carrying 500 dying men. For however long it takes. Pajota studies the terrain the way only a man who has lived in it can. The Cabu River is deep. The banks are steep and muddy, not impossible to cross, but slow, loud, and difficult in the dark. The wooden bridge is the only realistic crossing point for tanks and fast infantry movement. This is the choke point. This is where the battle will be won or lost. He deploys his 286 men in a V-shaped formation on the near side of the river, fanning outward from the bridge exit into the dense brush along both banks. They are invisible. Every weapon, M1 Garands, Thompson submachine guns, Browning automatic rifles, and 4 precious bazookas recently supplied by the Americans, is trained on one narrow piece of wood. And then Pajota issues the order his men do not expect. Do not blow the bridge. Not yet. If they destroy it immediately, the Japanese will fan out, wade through the shallower water downstream under the cover of darkness, and flank the Filipino positions. Pajota wants the Japanese to try to cross. He wants them to believe the bridge is open. He wants them stepping onto that wood before they know what is waiting for them on the other side. He is using the bridge itself as the weapon. On January 30, 1945, a United States Army Air Force P-61 Black Widow night fighter appears over the Cabanatuan camp. The pilot cuts his engines. The massive aircraft drops in complete silence, gliding over the watchtowers, the barracks, the Zero Ward. The Japanese guards stare upward, transfixed. They believe an American plane is crashing into their camp. While every pair of Japanese eyes in the compound points at the sky, the U.S. Rangers cover the last 100 yards of open field on their stomachs and slip into position. The engines restart.
What a strategy,
the Black
guys.
Widow pulls away into the dark. And then, the Rangers open fire. Half a mile away, at the Cabu River, the sound reaches Pajota's men before the order does. They hear the eruption of gunfire, and they tighten their grips on their weapons, and they wait. The Japanese hear it too. The reaction is immediate. The Japanese rear guard commander knows the POW camp is under attack. He rallies his force. The tank engines roar to life in the dark, and over 1,000 Imperial soldiers move for the Cabu River Bridge at speed. They have no reason to believe anything is waiting for them. The intelligence they have on Filipino guerrilla activity in the area does not account for what Pajota has built. They are moving to overwhelm a small raiding force. They are moving to save the prisoners and destroy the Americans. The lead tank reaches the bridge, rolls forward. Its tracks find the wooden planks. Pajota gives the order. The Filipino bazooka teams fire. The first rocket hits the lead tank dead center. The explosion tears it apart, the turret blown clear, the hull burning, the wreckage filling the narrow bridge with twisted, flaming steel. The second tank tries to reverse. The bazooka teams reload and fire again. It is destroyed where it sits. In seconds, the bridge is blocked by burning armor that no infantry can climb past without being silhouetted against the flames. and Pajota's V formation opens up. 286 rifles, submachine guns, and automatic weapons fire simultaneously into the choke point.
Man, the
Japanese
Filipino
infantry
strategy is
trapped
something
behind their own
outstanding.
burning tanks has nowhere to go. The kill zone is exactly what Pajota designed it to be: concentrated, overlapping, lethal from every angle. For the first time that night, the Japanese Imperial Rear Guard understands that they have walked into something they did not see coming. They do not give up. For 2 hours, the Japanese commander throws everything at the bridge. Wave after wave of infantry charges the burning choke point, banzai charges in the dark, hundreds of men screaming and rushing the bridge exit where Pajota's men are waiting. The barrels of the Browning automatic rifles glow red-hot. The Filipino gunners
Now look
pour
at that.
water from the river over their weapons to keep firing. The Japanese try the water. Squads of infantry move down the steep, muddy banks towards the shallower crossings downstream, moving quietly in the dark to flank the Filipino positions. Pajota had anticipated this. He had placed submachine gun teams dug into the mud at the waterline hours before the battle began. As the
nice.
Japanese infantry enter the water, the Tommy guns find them in the dark. No one crosses. At the prison camp, the Rangers are working fast. The locks are blown, the guards are neutralized. The prisoners are being pulled from their cells, some walking, some carried, some loaded onto wooden carabao carts provided by Filipino civilians who drove them to the edge of the jungle and waited. Colonel Mucci fires a red flare. Pajota sees it from his position at the river. The prisoners are out. The column is moving. He does not retreat. He knows what Mucci cannot know from the distance of a flare: that the column is moving at the speed of dying men on wooden carts. That the Japanese, if they cross the river now, will run down the Americans within the hour. That the rescue only works if the door stays closed until the Rangers and the prisoners are deep enough into the jungle that no pursuit can reach them. Pajota tells his men, "Hold." For another 2 hours, 286 Filipino guerrillas absorb the full weight of a Japanese military assault, artillery, mortars, human wave charges, and give nothing back but fire and position. At midnight,
crap, guys. What a
Pajota
courage.
is satisfied.
Do you imagine that?
The Americans have enough time. He orders the withdrawal. It is disciplined, deliberate, squad by squad, each element covering the one behind it. And before the last Filipino guerrilla leaves the riverbank, the bridge detonates. The explosives Pajota had wired hours before blow the wooden crossing to splinters. The Japanese armor, their tanks, their 1,000 men, all of them are on the wrong side of a river with no way across. The shield holds. The Great Raid on Cabanatuan is recorded as the most successful rescue operation in the history of the United States military. 511 prisoners of war were freed. The U.S. Rangers suffered 2 men killed. The operation became the foundational case study for every Special Operations rescue mission that followed. Colonel Mucci received the Distinguished Service Cross. Captain Robert Prince received the Distinguished Service Cross.
And what
The
about the
Rangers were
Filipinos?
celebrated, decorated, and justly honored. Captain Juan Pajota received the Bronze Star. The man whose intelligence saved the mission before it started, whose 286 men held over 1,000 Japanese soldiers at the river for 4 hours across 2 separate engagements, whose discipline and tactical positioning produced a result that military analysts still struggle to explain. an intense multi-hour engagement against overwhelming numbers with 0 friendly casualties. The Bronze Star. History is written by the people with the cameras. The American journalists who covered Cabanatuan filed their stories about the Rangers. The Hollywood film made in 2005 gave Pajota a supporting role in his own battle. In the years after the war, he returned to the land he had fought for. He lived a quiet life in the province his men had bled for. He died in 1995, 50 years after the night he held a bridge against an army so that 500 strangers could go home. The farmers and students and local men who stood beside him at the Cabu River went back to their fields and their towns. Some of them are still alive. Most of them are not. The wooden bridge is gone. The river is still there. History measures its battles in the famous names, the decorated generals, the elite formations with their unit citations and their films and their museums. But sometimes the most important man on the battlefield is the one who held the door, the one who absorbed everything the enemy had and gave the heroes behind him the time they needed to become heroes. Captain Juan Pajota held the door. He held it for 2 hours when he had to. He held it for 4 when he needed to. And 500 men came home because he did. Remember his name.
Beautiful story, guys. The only thing I'm really sorry about is that because at the beginning of the video, in the movie and in the history books, I'm sorry, this 286 Filipinos are not mentioned. And that's the thing that I'm pissed off about it. But, you know, this is history. This is real history. And thanks to Jack that showed me this video, because there are out there a lot of stories that are not told and a lot of people don't know about it. But, you know, this is not only the courage of the Filipinos, the intelligence as well, the heart, you know, the way to help, like you guys are nowadays. It didn't change anything. You know, it's in your DNA, and that's beautiful. But in the history books, in the movies, the Filipinos should be, you know, celebrated for what they did. This is the most impressive, you know, rescue in the military history. And Filipinos had a major role in all this, you know. Man, what a beautiful thing. That's why I love this channel. I love what you guys send me, because I understand more. And I consider myself a little Filipino as well, because I really not only love the history, but the country and the people as well. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know down below. Let me know if you knew about this. It's really beautiful. And continue to send on the channel. What do you think we should see more? Again, thank you for watching. God bless the Philippines. And like I always say, stay safe.